Bonsoir, French students. I hope you're all doing well. To start this lesson, we'll kind of start in a little different way. First, I'm going to ask you some questions in French, and I'm going to see if you can follow along with what I'm saying. Don't be afraid if you don't understand every word, because that's normal when you first start to learn a language. It's good to be comfortable with not knowing every word, because of course that's going to train your ear into just hearing the language, hearing how it sounds, and getting used to that. And that's great. So let's listen to a few questions and see if you can follow along. See if you can figure out what I'm asking you. Okay. C'est quel jour aujourd'hui? C'est le lundi? Non. C'est le vendredi? Non, pas du tout. C'est le jeudi? Non, non, je crois que non. Donc, c'est le mercredi? Mais oui, finalement. Okay, so what I was asking you was, first of all, what day is it? What day is today? And the question I asked you was, c'est quel jour aujourd'hui? So literally, I'm asking you, what day is it today? If I look at this and translate it word for word, it would be like, it is which day today? Okay, so aujourd'hui is today, jour is day. Okay, then I went ahead and asked you some questions about the days of the week, les jours de la semaine. So I asked you, c'est lundi? Okay, is it Monday? No, definitely not Monday today. Okay, then I asked you something like, c'est le vendredi? Is it Friday? No, definitely not Friday. It's not the weekend yet. And eventually I got to asking you, c'est mercredi? Is it Wednesday? Yes, and in fact today is Wednesday. And even the dates match up by chance here. Today is the 26th of August. We haven't learned the months yet, but I did tell you that c'est le 26 août. Août is the French word for August, and I used the same kind of sentence. C'est le 26. Remember all those numbers you learned about in the last video? Now we're using them to tell the date. Aujourd'hui, c'est le 26 août. It's the 26th of August. Okay, so as it tells us here, do not translate the word on to say that you do something on a certain day. Okay, in English we do that, but in French we don't do that. So to say that you do something every Monday or another day, use le with the day of the week. So, je travaille lundi. So, je means I. Travail means to work. So the verb for to work in French is travailler. Travailler. We haven't learned about verb conjugations yet. That will come much later. But for now, we will know that this sentence means I work on Monday, even if we don't use the word or a translation of the word on when we say it in French. Je travaille lundi. Okay, in the second sentence, second example we see here, je travaille le lundi et le jeudi. So I work on Mondays and Thursdays. It just means you do that regularly. So every week you have the same schedule. So to go over the days of the week, okay, we start from Monday. And as the textbook tells you in this section, the French week actually begins on Monday rather than Sunday as it does in our own calendar, in the American English calendar, which is kind of nice, I guess, because the weekend is really yours. I think sometimes when we think of our week as beginning on Sunday, it kind of splits the weekend in half in some ways. So I can kind of see the logic of beginning the week on Monday. Okay, so to look at some of the names for the days of the week in French, Monday is lundi. Remember the nasal vowels we learned about in the last video? So that U-N combination sounds like The sound should be traveling through your nose. Lundi. Okay, Tuesday is mardi. You probably recognize the word mardi already from the holiday Mardi Gras. Okay, we just say Mardi Gras when we pronounce it in English. And all it means is Fat Tuesday. So mardi is Tuesday, gras means fat, or it can mean grease or oil. So it's just literally Tuesday fat. So that's kind of interesting to know the next time you celebrate Mardi Gras. Of course, today, c'est mercredi. Okay? C'est quel jour? Aujourd'hui, c'est mercredi. Okay, demain, okay, demain is tomorrow. Demain, c'est jeudi. So tomorrow is Thursday. Okay? Après le jeudi, c'est vendredi. Okay, so after Thursday, it's Friday. And then we have our weekend days. Samedi, dimanche. And again, don't forget about your nasal vowel sound there. Dimanche, dimanche. Okay, so that gives us a good overview of all the days of the week. And let's see if our slide is going to advance. Okay, so a little bit more about the days of the week, les jours de la semaine. Okay, so here it tells us that we use du and au. So let's pay close attention to the pronunciation of those sounds. Remember the French U that you learned about in another video. So du means from in this case, and then au means to. So you're doing something from one point to another point. So to say from what day to, or what day from to what day to, you're doing something. Tous les jours refers to every day. So we can take some of the sentences we saw in the previous video and we can kind of add some new words to that. So again, we have je travaille, which means I work. Je travaille du lundi au vendredi. So I work from Monday to Friday. You could say the same thing about school. You know, you go to school from Monday to Friday. Je vais à l'université du lundi au vendredi. So I go to the university, to college from Monday to Friday. Or je travaille tous les jours. I work every day. Or maybe je vais à la université tous les jours. I go to the university every day, or I go to college every day. Just as a side note, in Europe, people usually tend to refer to college more as university, where here in the United States we say college. So just a little cultural difference there too. Okay, some other words that will be really helpful for you to know about, to be able to talk about your routine, to talk about what you do on different days or different days of the week. So right now, c'est le soir. I'm going to start with the time of the day I'm talking to you about. So right now it's the evening when I'm making this video. So I'm going to use le soir to talk about the evening time. Soon after I go to sleep and wake up tomorrow, it's going to be le matin. Okay, so notice another nasal vowel sound at the end of this word, le matin. Okay, and then in between those two, we have the afternoon. So l'après-midi. L'après-midi. It literally means after noon. Okay, so after the noon hour. Après means after, midi means noon. Okay, the word for the Saturday and Sunday is a really easy one, of course, because this word was actually borrowed into French from English. In Quebec, I remember when I visited there years ago to Montreal and Quebec City, people often said instead of le weekend, they would say la fin de la semaine, which literally means the end of the week. In France, people just say le weekend. So it's easy to remember, right? And then we have the words for before, which is avant. So we have another nasal vowel right there, avant. And then finally, après, which we see up here with l'après-midi. Okay, so now we know the days of the week. We know how to say from one day to another day. We also know how to say the times of the day and before and after certain times. So that's going to help us begin to piece together some conversations, right? Okay, and then finally our last segment here with Les jours de la semaine, we have different things that people might be doing at different times of the day. So now we know le matin means morning. Another important expression we need to know here, another important verb, it's like the most important verb in the language, I think. Just like the verb to be, like I am, you are, he, she is, etc. Very important verb in English. Je suis means I am. And this all comes from the verb called être, which means to be. You'll learn about that at a later time. But for now, just know that je suis means I am, and it will be a very useful expression. So this person here says, le matin, je suis à la maison avant les cours. So can you guess what he's doing in this picture? It's morning, the sun is rising, and he is somewhere. Where could he be? What could you guess from looking at the picture? And you probably guessed that he's at home, right? So the word for house or home is maison. Notice we have another nasal vowel at the end of this word, maison. So that airstream should be traveling through your nose with that sound. Okay, we already learned that the word for before is avant. So in the morning, I am at home before. And what could we guess? He's studying. He's looking at a book, right? So where is he probably going to go next? Also, what does this word look like? What English word does it look like? Okay, this semester you're probably taking 4 or 5 courses, right? So same thing in French. We call them les cours. So rather than English course, it's un cours. So le matin, je suis à la maison avant les cours. In the morning, I'm at home before I go to class. Okay, so that's what he's telling us about. And this speaker over here, now we're moving on to the afternoon, right? And we can still get a lot of context from this picture. So l'après-midi, okay, we know this is afternoon, but now something's a little different, right? Je ne suis, sorry about that. Je ne suis pas à la maison. Okay, what could you guess is different about this sentence? Before, the other person said, je suis, I am. But now this speaker is saying, je ne suis pas à la maison. Okay? Is this person at home or is he somewhere else? Okay, so what we're going to recognize here is that the ne and the pas that come before and after suis mean not. In French, you have to use 2 words to form the meaning of not. So he's saying in the afternoon, I am not at home. So je suis à la maison, I am at home. Je ne suis pas à la maison. And you'll often notice, or I often noticed when I spent some time in France and Canada, that people often really like chop this off when they pronounce it. Instead of saying je ne suis pas, they might say je suis pas. Or instead of saying je suis, they might say suis. Just like we would do with I'm instead of I am. So every language does this, and it really helps to be aware of that when you're listening, because if you're listening for all the individual words, you might not understand that well. But if you're prepared to hear the quick ways that people say words all in succession like that, it really helps your understanding a lot. Okay, so l'après-midi, je ne suis pas à la maison. Okay, I'm not at home. Je suis en cours de français. Et après le cours de français, je suis dans un autre cours. Okay, so we know that he's somewhere, right? So, je suis en cours de français. I am in some sort of course, right? Which one do you think he's in? We can recognize what français means, right? It means French. So he's in French class. And remember, we just learned this word après. Après means after. So in the first picture, avant, we learned this before, and now après, we know means after. So, je suis en cours de français, et après le cours de français, so after my French class, je suis dans un autre cours. I am somewhere else. Where is he? Okay, this word autre, you might recognize as a little bit similar to the English word other. They're a little similar. So what he's saying is, I'm in another class. Okay, so in the afternoon, he's not at home. He's in his French class, and after his French class, he goes to another class. He's in another class. Okay, so in sum, l'après-midi, je ne suis pas à la maison. Je suis en cours de français. Et après le cours de français, je suis dans un autre cours. Another thing I'll point out here about pronunciation is usually S is silent at the end of words in French, but not here, because it's joined to a word that begins with a vowel sound. So instead of saying dans un, I'm going to say dans un. So that S becomes like a Z sound. Je suis dans un autre cours. Okay, so we're almost getting to the end of our day here, right? So, le soir, après le cours de français, je travaille. Okay, we already learned in the previous couple of slides that travailler means to work, right? Lots of people are doing work at their computers these days, so we're used to seeing this. So in the evening, after the French class, I work. So she's going home to do her homework. And finally, le weekend, je ne travaille pas. Okay, so from what we talked about in the image above, we know that ne and pas together mean not. But ne always comes before a verb like travail, and pas always comes after it. So on the weekend, I don't work. Okay, le weekend, je ne travaille pas. Okay, so that in a nutshell is a little bit about les jours de la semaine. And going into the final video for this week, I may even separate it into two videos. One is describing yourself, and then the last topic would be talking about telling time. Okay, so I hope that this is helpful, and I'll be in touch again soon, or I'll be uploading soon the final videos for this section of le chapitre préliminaire, the preliminary chapter. Have a great night. Bonsoir.